Hi everyone, welcome to Zainer's NEET PG 2022 information series. The All India PG Medical Counselling has been notified and the registration for All India Counselling Round 1 is expected to start on September 1st. In this video, we'll look at the NRI quota seats that come under All India Counselling, the eligibility for these seats, the process and rules that need to be followed as far as application and then filling choices for these seats are concerned, and the documents that are required to be submitted for being eligible for NRI quota seats. Now, before we get into this, be very clear, this is only regarding the NRI quota seats which come under All India Counselling, basically the seats that are NRI under deemed universities. There are private institutes in state counselings which have 15% NRI seats, a maximum of 15%. Those are not covered under this because each state may have a separate NRI criteria with some differences between the central, basically All India Counselling criteria and the state criteria. There might be priorities in state as well, with priority given for state candidates. So just look at each state criteria for the state private institute NRI seats. What we will be covering in this video is about NRI seats under deemed universities in All India Counselling. Now, which are the seats that come under All India Counselling? 15% of seats max under deemed universities come under All India Counselling in the NRI quota. Now, max 15% would mean that an institute may decide not to surrender 15% in certain specialties, non-clinical specialties, or the institute may decide not to surrender anything at all for the NRI and have all the seats under management quota. Usually, in most clinicals, there will be 15% under NRI quota. Depending upon the institute, that may vary as well. And who is eligible for NRI quota seats for the deemed universities under All India Counselling? Two sets of candidates are eligible for NRI seats under All India Counselling. One is the basic criteria which always existed. The candidate is an NRI and therefore the candidate is eligible. Who is an NRI is the next question. What is the criteria for NRI? An NRI is defined under the IT Act, basically under the IT regulations, income tax regulations. And if a candidate has stayed for more than 183 days in the last financial year, then the candidate files is considered NRI under the IT Act. So if you are abroad and then you have stayed for more than 180 days, you would be considered an NRI, and such a candidate is directly eligible by being an NRI for NRI quota seats. Let's say you are not an NRI, but a nearest relative or a first degree relative who is an NRI as per the IT Act and is willing to sponsor you as a ward, then you would also be considered as an NRI. We'll come to that in detail, but the thing is, you can be sponsored by a person who is an NRI, subject to who the sponsor is, what is your relationship with the sponsor. Now, who can be an NRI sponsor? It has to be a nearest relative, and this definition clearly mentions is based on the Supreme Court order which is relevant now. So it has to be a first degree relative, and the list of relatives who fall under first degree, just for clarity, is also mentioned in the Supreme Court order exactly as mentioned here. So either the sponsor should be your father or mother, or your real brother or sister, not an adopted brother or sister, but a real brother or sister, a real brother or real sister of father, basically your uncle or aunt who is actually a real brother or sister or of father, or real brother or real sister of mother, basically an uncle and aunt, maternal uncle or a paternal uncle or aunt may sponsor you. Then, or your paternal grandfather or paternal grandmother, or maternal grandfather or maternal grandmother. So your grandparents can sponsor you, and if they are NRI, and uh, your first degree paternal cousins or first degree maternal cousins. Basically, you have your uncle or aunt, basically your real brother or sister of your father or your mother. Their daughters or sons are first degree paternal cousins or first degree maternal cousins. They can sponsor you if they are an NRI. So only this set of people who are your nearest relatives or first degree relatives, if they are NRI, can sponsor you for an NRI quota seat. You will be eligible. Also look at this part. NRI is what we had discussed throughout. In case you are an OCA or your sponsor is an OCA, or you are a PAO or your sponsor is a PAO, you will still be eligible for NRI quota seats. We call it NRI quota seats. OCAs and PAOs are also eligible in any, either OCA sponsor or you being an OCA or OCA, you will be eligible. what are the documents required? Pay a lot of attention to this. It is a simple thing. It is not so difficult. Everything is clearly mentioned in the notifications as well. First, there are 6 documents required. First may require 2 documents. 6 set of criteria for which documents are required. One, proof that the candidate or sponsor is NRI. So in case you are an NRI, then you will send across your documents. In case your sponsor is NRI, for wherever sponsorship is mentioned, you will send across your sponsor's documents. So that is also mentioned here. Just have a look. Proof that first thing is the proof that the candidate or sponsor is an NRI. What is the proof that can be provided? If you are an NRI, your passport and visa copy can be provided. If you are an OCA or PAO, your OCA or PAO card can be provided. Signed, there is no attestation or anything required. You either your document or your sponsor's document. Whether if you are NRI, your document will be required. Otherwise, your sponsor who's an NRI, their documents are required over here. Affidavit of relationship, there is a clear document that needs to be provided saying that this is the relationship as mentioned over here. This is the relationship between you and the sponsor. This needs to be signed by the sponsor and notarized. Similarly, an affidavit of sponsorship is required. So if you're sponsored, an affidavit saying that from your sponsor saying that I am willing to sponsor my ward for these for this particular counseling and the NRI sponsorship is to be done, and that has to be signed by the sponsor and notarized. We said there is a relationship affidavit or a sponsorship affidavit which has to be signed by the sponsor and notified, right? So these documents can, what do you mean by notarized? This has to be signed by the sponsor in an Indian stamp paper. You can get a stamp paper here and notarized by an Indian notary, or it can be done in the country of residence of the sponsor, where the sponsor can get a document and get it notarized by an authorized person in the country of residence of the sponsor. So that is also possible. So either a notarized document from India is fine on a stamp paper, or a notarized document in the country of residence of the individual is also fine. In certain cases, the embassy, when the sponsor approaches the embassy itself signs an affidavit. The affidavit or the sponsorship affidavit is authorized by the embassy. So in that case, the embassy would have signed it, the authorized person in the embassy would have signed it. That is also accepted for sponsorship or relationship affidavit. Any one of these is enough. Either an Indian notary notarized one, or a a document notarized by the official authority in the country of residence, and an authority in the country of residence is fine, or an affidavit signed by the embassy is fine. Next is the certificate from the embassy in the country of residence on you being a resident. You just have to get an embassy certificate saying that you are a resident and you are considered, you are an NRI or OCA or PAO. This has to be in the letterhead of the embassy. You have to ask your sponsor to connect with the embassy and go to the embassy and get the certificate. The signature, designation, and seal of the embassy issuing authority will be there in the document, and this has to be taken, like we said, from the Indian consulate at the country where the candidate or sponsor is residing. Next is the NEET PG qualification, your NEET PG qualification confirmation. This is the NEET PG scorecard released on June 8th. It will clearly mention your qualification, and that is enough for sending across. It is not required to be signed by any authority as such. And what you need to, where you can get it from the NBE portal. In case you don't have your NEET PG scorecard as of now, no worries. We'll share the NBE communications portal link in the description. You can go through the link and then raise a communication query. NBE will send it across to your email ID in 2 to 3 days time. You will for sure get your NEET PG scorecard. No worries about it if NBE login doesn't have the NEET PG scorecard as of now. This is the June 8th released one. Last one is an annexure. There will be a notification by MCC. MCC will send across a notification, and when the notification notification is sent across by NBE MCC, what you will have is an annexure there mentioning that I understand the rules and regulations of NRI sponsorship, and I have attached all these documents, and all the documents are true, etc. So this will have to be signed by you as a candidate on a plain paper. Just sign it, scan it, and send it. So this can be done at any point in time, and you can do it only when the new notification is released and the new annexure is released for signing. All certificates have to be English in a regional language. If in case you have a certificate in a regional language, that has to be translated and produced, obviously, but you would get your certificates in English in most of the cases. Ignore difference in the stamp paper amount. Some may get it in a 100 rupees stamp paper, 1,000 rupees stamp paper, doesn't matter. 100 rupees is enough. We'll in this screen you will be seeing the affidavit of sponsorship and relationship. Like we mentioned, it has to be signed by the sponsor and notarized, and any either Indian notarized or in the country of residence, or from the embassy it can be authorized, just authorized to the signature from the embassy, signature and seal from the embassy. Now this is the affidavit. Note that in this affidavit you have both the willingness to sponsor and the relationship, both being clearly mentioned in one document, single document. It is more than enough if you have both mentioned in one single document. If you have separate stamp paper, separate documents, one for sponsorship in one stamp paper and another for relationship in another stamp paper, that also suffices. No issues on that. The formats are representative. There is some change in this format. Don't worry about this. As long as the content is right and what it is equivalent or similar, that is more than enough. Don't, this is not an exact format. This is one of the text formats that will go for as far as sponsorship and relationship affidavits are concerned. Now, format letter from the embassy. This is an usual simple format which says that this is to certify that this person has been residing in this country since this date, and he or she is a non-resident Indian or other any category that they belong to. This has to be signed and got from the embassy, signature, designation, and seal of the embassy. So these are the formats that are required. The rest of them are plain. Whatever you see, the rest of them are straightforward documents that you have. So you can send them across as scan copies. What is the process? First thing is, as of now, get the documents ready. There is enough time, at least 2 weeks, for you to get the documents ready. MCC will notify, share a notification usually only a week before the registration starts. Wait for this notification. It will say conversion from Indian to NRI. There'll be a 3 to 4 day timeline provided for this. And so keep looking at mcc.nic.in for details. In certain cases, it has been only 2 days or so in round 2, etc., 2 to 3 days, etc. So just ensure that you keep visiting MCC on a daily basis looking for notification. Send across all the relevant documents to the email ID. Obviously, when you're sending it across as to it as email, you'll scan it as a PDF and send it across. Wait, and MCC will scrutinize all the documents, check all the documents, and wait and share an NRI eligible list. Only if you're part of the NRI eligible list after scrutiny, you will be able to see the NRI seats during choice filling. Fill choices of NRI seats in addition to all eligible seats. Your other eligibility, we are clearly mentioning it. Let us say you're applying from Indian to NRI conversion. No other eligibility will change except for one or two, which we will mention in the next slide. Go through the next slide. Except for one or two minor differences, very minor differences, few seats, rest of the eligibility will not be taken away just because you can apply from applied for NRI quota under the rules. Suggest to apply before round 1. There may be an NRI conversion during round 2 or mop-up. Another option may be provided in case you miss out in round 1, but that will be a very short timeline, and there will be a lot of confusion there in the eligibility list that is shared. Some may miss out because of MCC missing out emails. Ensure better to apply now, be part of the eligible list, and whether you want NRI seats or not can be decided during choice filling. You can ignore all NRI seats if you don't want to, but apply and become eligible now if you have the documents. FAQs, some of the FAQs. What seats are candidates who are part of NRI list eligible for? If you have applied and you are part of the NRI list finally, which MCC has released, you will be eligible for NRI quota seats of deemed universities. These will be listed as NRI choices in the choice filling. And then you will be eligible for management quota seats of deemed universities. If you are an NRI, you will still be eligible for management quota seats of deemed universities. These will be listed separately as M&G choices during choice filling. So in case you have applied for NRI and you are eligible, you will see two choices for the same seat. Hamdard is a deemed university which has a general medicine course. You will see one MNG choice and one NRI choice. Ideally, you will put the MNG choice, which is a lower fee structure, on the top, and NRI choice at the second as a second choice. Now this is a simple example for two choices, but you will see two choices is what you need to understand. You will see also MNG choices is what you need to what you can be sure about. Third, you will be eligible for AAQ seats. all India quota seats eligibility will not be taken away just because you have converted to an NRI. Eligible for AAQ seats, but during registration you just select AAQ and deemed for being eligible for AAQ, MNG and NRI seats. DNB post MBBS or NBE diploma seats, you will still continue to be eligible for DNB, all DNB seats, all seats under NBAMS. Select NBAMS during registration for All India Counselling on September 2nd, 1st or 2nd when you register. What seats are you not eligible for? There is only a minor limitation if you get converted from Indian to NRI. Jain minority or Muslim minority seats under deemed universities. Let's Hamdard, the Anapoya, and one more institute which SBK's Vadodara, which have minority seats. Those minority seats alone you will not be eligible for. In those institutes too, you will have NRI seats and MNG seats, you will be eligible for them. But if you are a Jain minority or a Muslim minority candidate and you convert to NRI, you will lose the eligibility for Jain minority or Muslim minority candidate, minority institutes. If you are not a Jain or Muslim minority candidate, nothing to worry, it is the same eligibility. Conversion to NRI will not change eligibility. The next question that is often asked, can a distant relative or a second degree relative, so that is anyone who is not part of this list but a second degree relative, can they uh, sponsor me? No. The NRI rules, basically it is a Supreme Court order which clearly prescribe who can sponsor. So the NRI rules are clearly prescribed by the Supreme Court order. It is only first degree relative. There are a lot of queries saying that my friend got a seat by by being sponsored by a secondary relative and that we are sharing wrong information. No, you are going against the Supreme Court order. That is what it will be if you put in a second degree relative as a sponsor. It is, the rules are pretty clear about who can sponsor for All India Counselling. For other counselling, state counselings, check with the state counselling rules. But All India Counselling, it is extremely clear as to who can be sponsored, who can sponsor for deemed institutes. If I apply as an NRI in All India Counselling, will I be considered as an NRI in states? Now, this application form that you're sending across to MCC through email, when they send across the notification, is only for All India Counselling. Now, each state has a separate application process for NRI and a separate eligibility criteria. Each state will say, this is the time you need to apply, these are the documents which may be different, and this is the eligibility criteria. For instance, Tamil Nadu allows only parents to be NRI sponsors, or either the candidate or parent has to be an NRI. There are priorities in certain states like Haryana, who can be first priority. It is only basically for those who are from Haryana will be given first priority. And similarly, there are a lot of different clauses, priority 1 to 5, etc. There are certain states where half brother, half sister, like in case of Kerala, can be an NRI sponsor. Now, all these are different. So, go through each state's eligibility criteria to figure out state eligibility criteria. Just because you apply as NRI in All India Counselling does not mean you will be eligible for state. Similarly, a state may ask for additional documents like family tree, ward certificate from local tahsildar, etc. So, look at state documents required if you're looking at state eligibility criteria. And there is no change in reservation. This is a query that many people have been asking. There was a notification last year saying NRI candidates will be eligible only for UR seats. That meant they are not eligible for Jain minority or Muslim minority seats, and that did not mean that NRI candidates are not eligible for reservation in AAQ and DNB seats. All candidates who convert to NRI will be seeing AAQ and DNB seats. Let's say it is an OBC candidate, the candidate will also be seeing OBC seats. Similarly, for SC/ST candidates, the respective category seats under AAQ or DNB, post MBBS or NBBS diplomas will be available. This will not be taken away just because you convert to NRI. Finally, during admissions, there is a lot of confusion on payment. Payment has to be done by the candidate or sponsor through a bank account directly from the abroad bank account or the account of the individual, the foreign account of the individual, through wire transfer to the allotted institute. Any other changes in this, like whether they can send it across through an Indian account, whether you can send directly through an Indian account and not the sponsor, that is a flexibility, or so that you have to check with the institute. Similarly, whether the candidate has to be physically present. Yes, as per MCC rules, any candidate has to be physically be present for admissions, but flexibility on this is institute or candidate specific, as in basically when the candidate goes in and if there is a genuine reason, etc., there may be flexibility, but check with the institute on that. The rules are pretty clear this way. Anything else is something that the institute can only decide based on candidates request. So this is, hope this is extremely clear. We have shared the document formats of the embassy certificate and the sponsorship and affidavit certificate. The links are there in the YouTube description. Have a look at it. Also the notification is available in the folder, last year's notification, which will clearly tell you what was asked for last year and what are the documents and the annexure that was required. Have a look at it. Hope this was really helpful for you. If it is helpful, please do share with others. We have complete information on Zynet. Join our Telegram and Facebook groups, and also the portal for complete information on closing ranks, allotments, fee, etc. for all institutes. Thanks for watching. Please do leave your comments.